Yo, welcome back to another episode of the JM Show. I am your host, Jody Mo. It is not Monday, it's Tuesday, but it's still Mo Day. You know what I mean? We had to do our recaps. And we have to go back to the first round because now we in the second round of the playoffs, but we got to recap. So, first matchup, we had the 76ers versus the Celtics, right? Now, I picked the Celtics in 5. This ended up going 7, right? And the Celtics lost. Now, understand, this is my pick to come out the East that just lost. So now I only have my sleeper pick left, but I'm am I shocked? Yes, but I'm only shocked for one reason, and that's health, right? The 76ers haven't been healthy all year, and for them to come into the playoffs and pull this off, beat the Boston Celtics, which I didn't see no team out East beating, to be honest, especially. Well, I mean, they not really as healthy either. You know, Tatum kind of missed the last game, but still, you got to give them credit. They walked into that Celtics building and they handled business. Shout out to Joel Embiid. He had a great game. He had a great game 6 as well. Tyrese Maxey is definitely looking like a star. VJ Edgecombe looking like he could have been rookie of the year. You know what I mean? Shout out to Cooper Flag, but VJ looking good. And Paul George. Paul George had a good series, you know what I mean? And he didn't really have like not one of those like Paul George games that he used to have in Indiana, but that was a while ago. So we gotta accept it for what it is now. But Paul George looked great. So now the 76ers have moved on. As far as the Celtics go, I feel like they just got to get healthy. You know what I mean? Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Peyton Pritchard, Derek White. Big Vooch wasn't much of a factor in this series, but I don't know. You know what I mean? I wouldn't tell them to panic and like do something crazy and like start trading people, but you never know what ownership and management want to do. I wouldn't do nothing, honestly. I just tell everybody get healthy and we'll be right back next year. And, so you got to give a shout out to the 76ers for doing their things. And shout out to the Celtics, man. That was my pick to come out the East. So, got to take my L on that one. Second matchup, we had the Knicks versus the Hawks. And I had the Knicks in 6, and they won in 6. So shout out to the Knicks. The Hawks put up a fight. Not game 6, though. They got whooped. They got beat on in game 6. That was just crazy. That's how all of the I ain't gonna say all the games should have looked because game 6 was crazy, but that's the Knicks. That's why I say they take the long haul, right? Once it gets to the time when it's time to send you home, they send you home. But they kind of take their time to get there. So you usually gotta give them like a good game 6. And that was a historical loss. Like I'm talking like I think the only worst loss was that loss Luka gave Devin Booker and Chris Paul and them when he just demolished them. I think they won by like 60 that game. And the Hawks was right there. I think they won by at least like 50. It was crazy. But shout out to the Knicks. Even though I picked them to win, you still gotta give credit what credit's due when they handle business. Second game we had was third series we had was the Magic versus the Pistons. And let me say something. Cade Cunningham is a star. You gotta get that boy credit. He put that team on his back. He had a game where he had like 45 and Paolo had 45 too. But he put this team on his back because this team was looking like, shout out to Tobias Harris. He showed up. They had another guy over there show. I'm not really familiar with the Detroit team. I'm gonna get familiar with him now because Cade Cunningham is like, yeah, I believe in him, man. To come back from a 3-1, they was down 3-1, come back, take over, and win the series. You got to give Detroit credit for that. They killed all those fluke rumors. They killed all that they ain't ready rumors. You know what I mean? And because I thought the Magic had them. I'm like, the Magic didn't pull the rope of dope. You know what I mean? And now or the switcheroo, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? They done pulled it, but yeah. Pistons said, nah, we the better team and we gonna prove it. So give them credit for that. So the Pistons move on. And I had them winning in 6. I had the Pistons in 6, but it took them 7. So, it go like that sometimes. Then you have the Raptors and the Cavaliers. My sleeper pick is the Cavaliers. So they my only team left coming out the East. So they won game 7, and I expected them to win this series. It was a good series, though, a very tough series, and I expect the next one to be tough too. The Cavaliers versus the Pistons. I expect that to go in 7 as well. I would have the Cavs in 7. Um, yeah. So, and they play tonight. Their first game is tonight, so we're gonna see how they look. And I expect the Cavaliers to pull out game 1 tonight on the road. I expect them to win, but you never know. And then we had the Spurs versus the Blazers. Spurs 1-5. Shout out to the Blazers for just making the playoffs and making this position. But I expected the Spurs to win in 5. You had Nuggets, Timberwolves, right? Timberwolves end up closing that out. They moved on to the next round, even when Ant got hurt and he hyperextended his leg. But at the same time, Ant was back last night. And he was back to me for more like moral support. He got it going in the 4th, but I think he was there for more like his team to let them guys know that he love them and he riding for them. But I don't expect him to play game 2, even though he played last night and the Timberwolves won. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna get my picks on that. I would have Wolves in 7 on that. Spurs versus the Timberwolves. I had the Wolves in 7, but the Timberwolves versus the Nuggets. So shout out to the Nuggets. Yeah, I think they just gotta rebuild. You know what I mean? They gotta find some more pieces. It's kind of difficult when you play in a city like Denver because not too many players are willing to come there. So you almost got to trade for them. Jamal Murray is dope. Even though he had like a bad series, he's still dope. I know a lot of people say he like inconsistent, but I like him. You know what I mean? I keep him. Jokic is gonna do his thing. So you just gotta, I don't know, you gotta find like a third piece that can really like give you offense and give you consistently a second option behind Jokic, right? Because if Jamal ain't got it going, then the team just look crazy. But yeah, shout out to the Nuggets. They should be all right. Then you had the Lakers versus the Rockets. The Lakers pulled that off. I had Lakers in 7. They end up closing it out in 6. Beating the Rockets by a dub. Shout out to Bron. Did his thing. Shout out to the whole Laker team. I haven't really heard no updates on Luka or whether he's going to be back in time for this next series because they're going to need him. Because they playing the Thunder. So they're going to need him, And the Lakers are my sleeper pick out the West. And OKC is my pick to come out the West. So one of my picks going home, right? This is crazy. But I would have OKC in 7, right? And that's only if Luka could come back. You know what I mean? If Luka don't come back, they might get this over with. I still get Bron like a 6 because Bron just, he's a great basketball player. But if Luka's back, I got Lakers. But no Luka, yeah, you have to go Thunder. You just do. Luka and Shea, that would be a great series if they could hoop against each other. But even if Luka do come back, he got to get in the rhythm. Might take a couple games. So you just gotta. I would just go OKC. You know what I mean? Once again, they are my pick to come out the West. So yeah, looking like they're gonna repeat. And then now we are in the semifinals, right? Before we get to the conference finals, and then you have 76ers versus the Knicks. And I expect the series, to go 7. It's gonna be a tough series. Even though they played last night and the Knicks put belt the ass on the on the Sixers. It was still a good game though. Like they had moments when in that first and that second quarter where it was a tight game. It's just the Knicks came out with that crowd roaring behind them, that momentum. They did their thing, so you got to give them that. So they leading 1-0 right now. I would still have the Sixers in 7 though. I think Joel, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, VJ. It might end up being too much for the Knicks, but you never know. Like I said, with a 7-game series, you really saying it could go either way. But if you're asking me to pick, I would pick the Sixers. Cavs versus Pistons. I expect this to be another 7-game series, right? I expect this to be a tough series, just like last series was for both of these teams, right? The Raptors took the Cavs to 7, and The Magic took the Magic blew a 3-1 lead, but still they technically took them to 7, right? Because they pushed Detroit to show that you know they deserve to be that number 1 seed. So you got to give them credit for that, but it's still like you got to close that out. You up 3-1. You know what I mean? You got to close that out. But so I expect these 2 series out east to go 7. These are gonna be some tough series, and the East looking great. Out west, I expect 7-game series as well, right? Timberwolves versus Spurs. Like I said, I will have the Wolves in 7. Now, Anthony Edwards wasn't supposed to play last night. He wasn't supposed to play game 1 or game 2. They was looking at him for like game 3 or 4 when they get back to Minnesota. But he showed up last night for his team. But Julius Randle really led the team. He really led that team last night. It was a collective effort, but he was like the front man. So shout out to Julius, did his thing. And he cleaned up the rumors that he ain't a solid number 2. It looked good for him. He had a iffy shot at the end of the game where he could have got a better shot. Like, you got to take a better shot than that, Julius. But because they could have easily lost. Like, they if homie hit that 3, and which was a good look, it wasn't even like contested. It wasn't even like off balance. It was a solid pull up. He squared up and he just missed, right? So yeah. Lakers versus OKC. Once again, I'm giving it 7 only because I expect Luka to be back, right? He's been out for a while. Austin Reeves has been back. Well, Austin Reeves is back, but he's gonna get his rhythm going. So I expect that to go 7 if Luka can get back. But if Luka don't get back, they might close the Lakers out in 6. You know what I mean? You got to get LeBron 6 because LeBron gonna figure it out. He's battle tested, one of the greatest players of all time, top 5. You know what I mean? So that's gonna be a good series. Out west so these semifinals, man, they looking good, man. Whoever win this championship this year, they gonna let it be known. They work for this one. This is a good series. Even though we got injuries, we gonna always have injuries in the playoffs, but it's been a good playoffs, man. I've been excited. Great games. So yeah, tonight we got the Cavs versus Pistons, and we got Lakers versus OKC. So I'll be back next Monday or Tuesday. You know what I mean? I'll be having to switch it up a little bit. I done picked up some hours, so how I be. But yeah, man, it's the JM show, man. Holla at your boy.